Good morning. I thought I'd give you a look at what we've got going on with the chicken run this summer. So I just let the chickens out onto a fresh run. So this year I've got their run divided. You can kind of see here, I've got this sort of temporary divider running between this run and this run. And this is their other run that I have converted for the summer into sort of a pumpkin patch squash bed. And I thought I'd give you a little tour of it. So what I've got going on here, oh, and I guess I should mention, so you don't wonder what's going on over here, that I've got a sprinkler running on their old run. Oof, getting hit by it. The reason I've got that going is that I've got a bunch of grass seed in there, and I'm trying to reseed it. It's very hard to reseed a run that the chickens have totally wrecked. So I bought some chicken pasture seed, and I'm making sure it gets lots of water. And we're letting it reseed before they go back in there and get nice and healthy so that they're not just on mud. And anyway, so here's the squash patch. Back here, they're getting lots of nice water too. Back here, I've got 4 different varieties of winter squash. I don't remember all of them, so I won't list all of them, but most of which have started to come up here. I planted these about a week ago, so you can kind of see them in the back there. And I'll need to do some thinning in probably another week here. These are more, but further spaced. And then these are my pumpkins. I'm not growing as many pumpkins this year as I did last year because it turns out we don't eat a lot of pumpkins, so we don't really need that many. They're mostly decorative for us, and maybe a pie or two. Anyway, just thought I'd give you a look. So to till this, in case you're curious, I used a broad fork. I just went through and broad forked it, turned under any like heavy sod that was still like trying to cling to life, and then I covered it with a heavy layer of straw mulch to keep all the weeds suppressed. And I got the chickens off of this bed a couple months before I planted it. So I'm hoping that was enough time for the sort of chicken poop, they say, is very hot. So which means it's got a lot of nitrogen, and it takes a little while for that to break down a bit. And if you put it directly on your plants, it'll burn the roots. So I'm hoping that was enough time for it to break down, and it should be a nice fertile place. The other reason that I did this was because, like I mentioned in the garden tour, we have a lot of problems with, I'll show you the chickens while I talk. This is more interesting than looking at straw. We have a lot of problems with squash bugs and cucumber beetles, and I was hoping that by having the chickens overwinter in this bed, they would help keep the population down, and then also that they would help keep the adult population as it grows down as they fly around in this area. So I'm curious to see how that goes this year. It's another experiment. Fingers crossed it goes well. And then the final thing I'll say is that I think next year I may use this area for corn, because I realized it's probably the perfect space for corn because the netting will keep a lot of predators out. Maybe not all birds, but certainly raccoons and stuff. And there's a lot of support in here, given all the posts and stuff, to help keep it nice and tall. So I think that's probably what the plan will be next year. I've never grown corn, so I'm curious to see how that goes. But anyway, just wanted to show you some little pumpkin babies and the pumpkin patch, pumpkin and squash patch, and a few chickens.